at school, categorically on the record, you did not racially abuse fellow pupils.
I would never, ever do it in a hurtful or insulting way.
That's not quite the same as not doing it.
It's 49 years ago. It's 49 years ago.
What difference does the time make?
Isn't it? Well, I just entered my teens. Can I remember everything that happened at school? No, I can't. Have I ever been part of an extremist organisation or engaged in direct, unpleasant personal abuse, genuine abuse, on that basis? No.
You're not quite, that's very, very caveated. You're not quite ruling this out. The question is, did you ever racially abuse fellow pupils in school?
No.
You've caveated
not
it
with
with
intent.
a hurtful way.
Not with intent.
What do you mean not with intent? I don't understand what you mean by
No,
not with
well, you
intent.
wouldn't do.
What does that mean?
You wouldn't do.
But what does that mean?
No.
No what?
No. I have never directly really tried to go and hurt anybody.
But you're opening the door there to perhaps you did it without meaning to offend.
Have I said things 50 years ago that you could interpret as being banter in a playground, that you could interpret in the modern light of day in some sort of way? Yes. But isn't it funny?
Okay, so you did say stuff to these people then?
I've never directly racially abused anybody. No.
Again, define directly for me. What do you mean by directly?
By taking it out on an individual on the basis of who they are or what they are. No.
Again, taking it out on somebody is different to saying.
Have I ever
to somebody.
misspoken in my life, in my younger days when I was a child? Probably.
So the people then who've made these allegations,
yeah, they've got good memories, haven't they?
Well, they're telling the truth, are they?
They've got good memories, haven't they?
Are they telling the truth, Mr.
Well,
Farage?
suddenly after 49 years, they seem to have perfect recollection. I would say to you, there is a strong political element to this.
Okay, again, a slightly different answer to the question. Are they telling the truth?
No, they're not telling the truth. There are people who had very different... By the time I was 18, there were people there with very different political views, of course. And they disagreed with them. And, you know, right now today, you can say one thing in politics and another person takes it and says, that's sexist, that's racist, that's whatever it is. That's what happens, you know. All I can tell you is, by the time I was a grown-up, leaving that school, there was never any question of those things. But did I have disagreements with people? Mm-hmm. Political disagreements, yes.
Let me put it another way. Did you say things to these people that you did not intend to be hurtful or racist, but they took it that way?
I hope not.
So possibly you did then?
I hope I didn't. I'm going to say no, I didn't. I hope I didn't. None of us can be sure of anything we say ever, even today, that somebody else might take to be hurtful. But intentionally, no.
Would you apologise to them?
If they were genuinely hurt, of course.
Okay, so is that an apology? Are you saying sorry to those people?
No, I'm not, because I don't believe I did anything that directly hurt anybody.
But yet they may have felt that.
Well, we're living in that world, aren't we? We're living in that world.
What do you mean living in that
world?
world?
Well, you know, I might say
they take offence at racist language.
Look, you know, people can say you know, you can say someone's overweight and make them take serious offence, or you can choose not to say it. I have not done anything. And by the way, you are talking about something in 1977, and nobody has perfect recall of events of half a century
Well, 20 people have recalled this, which would suggest there's a good collective memory here.
Yeah, which just shows you there's a huge political element to this. It's just nonsense that 20 people could say something like that without it being political in every way.
Yeah, you're not quite ruling out
I'm not ruling out I didn't misbehave at playgroup when I was 6 or 5.
Well, we're talking about a lot older than this.
Well, I was
you're
13.
Not ruling out either that you said these words.
Oh dear. It's 50 years ago.
I still don't understand the balance of the time.
I have not directly tried to insult anybody.
Again, that caveat directly. So you're almost admitting that you've said these words.
I'm not a vicar. I may have said things last week that someone might have taken offence to. All right.
Did you say things back at school that people took offence to?
Without any shadow of a doubt, and without any shadow of a doubt, I shall say things tonight on this stage that some people will take offence to and will use pejorative terms about. That is actually, in some ways, you know, what open free speech is. Sometimes you say things that people don't like. Have I directly been racist towards people? No, never.
I'm not going to repeat some of the words that have been said, but no. they were quite specific, and it was very direct. Is that a true recollection then of what was said?
No, I don't believe it is for one moment.
Okay. Laura Ann Jones. The events of last week, was that a lapse of your judgment to take her on board? No,
look, her offence is, you know, compared to what happens in public life and the mistakes that people make in their everyday lives, what she's done is a pretty minor offence. Now, she's been quite harshly punished for it.
She used a racist word, that's hardly minor.
Well, she used a word that colloquially probably was meant in a nice way 20 years ago, but it's now...
But we're not 20 years ago, we're in
No, we're not,
25.
and she made a mistake, absolutely.
Okay, it's just Nathan Gill, and there's no one else in Reform, past or present, who has done similar things to Mr. Gill?
I'm very confident. I mean, as confident as I can be, as confident as anybody can be. I'm very shocked. about Gill. I mean, he was in UKIP for a very, very long time, albeit his time in reform was very, very short. What people would do for money.
Well, will you investigate to find out then? Because that's not a guarantee that you don't know.
Well, I mean, what I'd like to investigate is the level of influence that China is
how
having
about
over this government.
Okay.
And
deal with your party, though, Mr. Farage. Will you investigate to find out about Russian influence in the party?
Well, I'm not a police force. I haven't got the resources. Should there be, given that we learn that, well, I won't name him, but the Labour MP has taken 500.
If you concentrate on reform, actually, will you instigate an investigation in your party to see if there is any other pro-Russian?
We are not a police force. Should there be?
But you are the leader of the party, then.
Yes, and if you listen, I'll tell you what I think. I think given, we've seen the Nathan Gill case, given since then we've learnt that a Labour MP took £500,000 for his office costs and campaigning costs from a now known Chinese agent, is there a problem through British politics? There is. Is it extensive? I doubt it, but I don't know. Should we ask somebody with actual authority to investigate it? Yes.
So would you support calls then for a UK-wide investigation?
I think that's right, and I think there are doubts on all sides right at the moment. So yes, that would be a good thing to do.
But you're not going to instigate that investigation?
I'm not a police officer.
But you are party leader?
Yeah, I haven't got a police force. I haven't got access. I can't access your phone messages. I can't access your emails. Unless I can do that, I can't investigate. You've got to have somebody with investigatory powers.
What questions have you personally asked of people in your party?
Well, I've asked everybody, have you ever taken money you shouldn't have taken from anybody? And no one said yes.
Okay, and is that good enough for you? You're taking them at face value?
And what do you think Keir Starmer's doing? And what do you think Kemi Badenoch's doing?
Okay, but this question is for you. Those are questions for them on a different
I am not a police officer. I cannot access emails or phone messages. I can't investigate other than asking people. And I would point out to you that this is an embarrassment for UKIP. It's a very minor embarrassment for Reform.
Well, he was party leader in Wales.
For how many weeks?
Well, he's still party leader.
Yeah,
that's irrelevant.
For a very brief period of time. He's not been with us for a very, very long time. And I will mention it to the audience this evening. I'll mention it, but look, a broad look at it from an MI5 point of view wouldn't be a bad thing.
Did anyone in Reform speak to or communicate in any way with Nathan Gill after his arrest?
No, he'd left the party before that.
Well, yes, he's left the party. That doesn't mean people didn't communicate with him, did they?
He was kicked out of the party. I wasn't party leader. I wasn't active. I wasn't involved. It was back, 3 years ago. I don't know.
Okay, this is important, though. Has there been? Can you guarantee there's been no contact between Mr. Gill and current members of Reform at any point since his arrest, up to what we saw last week?
I've had no engagement with him, and nobody in my leadership team has had any engagement with him whatsoever.
But you can't rule out that there might be people in the party who have spoken to him since his arrest?
Nobody in authority.
Okay. Define authority. What do you mean by nobody in authority?
Well, he might have spoken to his next-door neighbour, for all I know. Beyond that, no.
Okay, and I just want to be absolutely clear. You're caveating this by saying no one in authority could then have spoken to people in Reform about politics and perhaps about the general election campaign.
He might have spoken to his next-door neighbour, for all I know. I haven't heard sight nor sound of him, personally, for many, many years.
Again, we're coming back to without committing to that investigation. It comes back to a sort of implication. You don't know exactly what's going on in your party.
I've got 266,000 members. Can I vouch for every single one of them? Can I tell you that one of them is not his next-door neighbour? I mean, look, I can just give you nonsense answers or tell you the truth. Nobody in senior authority has had anything to do with him, not since his arrest, and indeed, in my case, a couple of years before that.
The truth is then, actually, that you can't guarantee that there won't be people in Reform that have spoken to him.
The truth is, I can't guarantee that my brother is not a mass murderer, any more than you can. We can never, ever know. What you can do, if you're serious about Chinese influence in British politics, and if you're serious that
and about Russian influence as well.
And about Russian influence that we've seen with Nathan Gill, if you're serious about it, then by all means have a national investigation, and I would support that.
Okay, again, no guarantees that no one in Reform has spoken to him. I just want to be clear that's where we are.
Well, if you want me, I've rung all 266,000 members to make sure. Do you want me to say that? It's nonsense. You know it, I know it.
Okay, let me move away from Nathan Gill. Did you racially abuse fellow pupils when you were at school?
No, this is 49 years ago, by the way. 49 years ago. Have I ever tried to take it out on any individual on the basis of where they're from? No.